The court would now like to call Morgan Snares to the stand. Morgan Snare, you are being charged with failure to meet conservation standards. If found guilty by this court, you will be fined and have to attend mandatory conservation advisement sessions.
Ms. Tenaire, do you consider yourself an environmentalist?
Yes, I do. As I'm sure you have on your file, I'm a grant writer for the EPA. I help big businesses secure the funds to better incorporate environmental practices into their everyday affairs. In addition, my home is well equipped with the latest technology to better serve our environment, as my husband told you.
How do you continue to incorporate environmentally friendly practices into your living?
In addition to my job and all of our LED lights, we have a clean air filter, and most of our power comes from wind turbines.
Can you please explain how the air filter works?
Well, it cycles the air throughout our home to get rid of the impurities.
Where do these impurities go?
Outside.
So, everyone else breathes your impurities.
It said it was good for the environment.
It's good for your environment, you mean?
I guess. But don't you think that in this day and age, it's best to first do what's best for yourself? My husband and I are lucky enough to be able to live a life that is good and healthy for us.
During our investigations, Ms. Snare, we learned that you are pregnant.
Yes, I am.
You've exemplified many wasteful habits which we are concerned you will pass on to your future child.
I guess I've been thinking a lot about that, actually. As a child, this world offered me so much. I'm truly concerned that my child will not be able to have the same experiences that my husband and I have had.
Does this mean that you and Carter Tenaire do not have the economic means to provide for a child?
No! My husband and I can give our child so much, but this world can't give it anything. And then there's the overpopulation issue.
Can you please expand on that?
We're only supposed to have one child as it is. Do we really want to have it now? I've been thinking that I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mrs. Snare. You may step down. Sydney Yara, will you please take this there? Excuse me. May I say something first?
Go ahead.
What exactly is your definition of an environmentalist? We define an environmentalist as a person who is concerned with preserving our environment and protecting it from damage by human activities. Oh, well, according to that definition, don't you think we all qualify as environmentalists? We're all good people who might make a mistake, some bigger than others, here and there. But it's like Cassandra said, we're all human. We're all doing the best that we can under the circumstances. I know Cassandra and I are. We're careful and we live sustainably. Tell me, do you consider yourselves to be environmentalists?
We are not the ones on trial here, and we will ask the questions. Sydney E.R., your name was not originally on our list to be investigated. However, your actions and influence over Cassandra Renette warranted our further investigation. You are being put on trial for resource theft. If found guilty, you could face a fine and an assignment to environmental community service. With that in mind, how would you say that you reduce your negative impact on the environment?
I recycle, I'm careful about what I throw away, I take public transportation, I never buy or use more than I have to.
Does that include stealing? Oxygen is a precious, not to mention monetarily valuable resource. How can you justify your actions?
Excuse me? How exactly do you justify spying on us?
Miss, you should be aware and familiar with the Environmental Responsibility Act.
We all know what it says, but that doesn't make it right.
In accordance with this act, you must forfeit your
This is bullshit!
Sit down, you are out of order.
Fine.
Perhaps it would be best for us to remind this court and the members of the jury why the Environmental Responsibility Act was passed.
During the aftermath of the 2040 crisis,
It was determined that since the individuals who make up this society cannot senses of selfishness and entitlement were inhibiting too many people from making the necessary changes to their lives. Since you are not able to monitor your own actions, we now do it for you. So, what right do we have to spy on you? How do we justify it? We would not be here if it weren't for your own actions. We are helping you to help yourselves and every other living thing in this ecosystem. So with that in mind, it is now time for you, the jury, to fulfill your duty and voice your opinions. In the case of Carter's Mayor, charged with habitual wastefulness and facing the fine of attendance at conservation advising sessions. By a show of hands, how many find the defendant guilty? How many find him not guilty? Will those who find him guilty please explain your reasons for this court?
In the case of Cassandra Renette, who is charged with the overuse of resources, who could face a fine and a cap on further resource purchases, by a show of hands, how many find her guilty? How many find her not guilty?
In the case of Morgan's Mayor, charged with failure to meet conservation standards and facing a fine and attendance of mandatory conservation advising sessions. By a show of hands once again, how many find the defendant guilty? How many find him not guilty?
In the case of Sydney Iara, who is charged with resource theft, will face a fine and environmental community service. By a show of hands, how many find her guilty? How many find her